So let's talk about basic claim drafting and what goes into a claim of your patent. So the first thing to know is that there are two different types of claims that you'll see in a patent generally. And those two different types of claims are, one, an independent claim, and two, a dependent claim. I'll get into the difference on those in just a moment. So the typical claim structure consists of three parts. One is a preamble, which is the beginning of the claim. It sets forth what the claim is going to be about. A transitional phrase, which talks about what the claim is going to contain. And then limitations. The limitations are the components of the claim that determine what your invention actually is. The claim determines what your invention is. So in this example claim, we have an apparatus comprising three limitations. The first limitation is a first widget. The second limitation is a second widget that's connected to the first widget, and a third limitation, a gadget connected to the first widget and the second widget. So your invention includes these different limitations, these different elements. The proper word is limitations. That's the word that the courts use when looking at your claim and whether a product, an alleged infringing product, is infringing your claim. Now that is the first claim that we just looked at is an independent claim. It's independent because it stands alone. So in other words, this claim by itself can be used to determine if a product is infringing your patent by looking at that claim. It's independent because it stands alone. It defines what the invention is. A dependent claim, which I have an example of below it, adds something to the independent claim. So in this case, my example is claim 2, which is the apparatus of claim 1, so it refers back to the independent claim. The apparatus of claim 1, and then the transitional phrase is different because now instead of comprising, it's further comprising, so it's adding something. And in this case, it's adding a something else connected to the gadget. So these two claims now would work together. If it turns out that this claim, for whatever reason, becomes invalid, let's say that the patent gets issued, you go into a court proceeding, and now the other side, the defendant that you're accusing of infringement, is able to find prior art that the USPTO patent examiner didn't find, and this does happen. If that prior art shows that there's a first widget, a second widget, and the gadget that's connected to the first and second widget, that would mean that the prior art invalidated your patent. However, it may turn out that the prior art does not include something else connected to the gadget. That might save your patent. The next question would be, does the alleged infringing device or infringing apparatus have the three limitations of the independent claim and also the limitation of the dependent claim? If the dependent claim is found valid because the prior art didn't show that limitation, then you may be saved and the alleged infringing product may still infringe the dependent claim, even though the first claim may be found to be invalid. So there's several takeaways for you to understand from this discussion. The first is that there are two types of claims. There are independent claims and there are dependent claims that add something to the independent claim. The second takeaway for you is that if you get a patent issued and it turns out that your independent claim is somehow invalidated, you may be saved by dependent claims in your application that still are not taught by the prior art and that adds something to the independent claim.